And welcome. Monday, the all-new SportsCage. Barney, Shynkaruk, Derek, Bidwell. Let me center myself up in the camera. There we go. CNC are on the other side of the board. And, we got 3 hours. What do we got for you? Well, 3:15-ish. We're going to be joined by Justin Dunk. We're going to talk about the Trevor Harris contract. He got the inside scoop on it. What is it all about? What does it mean? Does he like it? Do you like it? Does Bidsy like it? We're going to find out more there. Bidsy's going to have some updates from the curling going on in Swift Current, Saskatchewan. We're going to find out about that. Hour 2, Eric Francis. Hour 3, Darian Durant. Also in Hour 3, an interesting one, Bidsy. One of the fathers of the players that got the call last week to go represent Canada at the World Junior Hockey Tournament. Everyone always talks to the kids, and nothing against, interviewing junior hockey players. They don't say a heck of a lot. But from the parent side of it, what does that look behind the curtain? Luckily, I'm friends with this gentleman. I want to know, what does Hockey Canada pay for? How now do you get hotel rooms? How many flights do you have to buy? How many ticket requests? How many tickets do you get? All that kind of stuff we'll find out in Hour 3. It'll be a fun show. It's always a fun show when Bidsy and I are together. And then the bracket challenge, buddy. We are down to the, what are we calling it? The grade 8? What do you guys want to call it? Colson, you're the commissioner of this thing.
That doesn't mean I know what it's called.
What do they call it in NCAA when they get to the
Elite 8?
Elite 8. There we go. That's good. That's what we're calling it. Let's steal it.
Yeah.
No one will ever know. The Elite 8 in our ultimate Christmas song bracket. Now, I'm going to tell you, you vote on Twitter or X or 936-6262, capital Ford Lincoln text line. We will take votes there until just after 5 o'clock-ish, Colson?
Around 5:30 is when we wrap up today.
5:30, okay. This is Bidsy.
Mm-hmm.
Band-Aid versus Dolly Parton Christmas. For me, that's a tough one. It's like when the Kachuk brothers play against each other and then their parents are in the stands. It's just you want both to win. And then Jose Feliciano is pitted up against Bing Crosby, who knocked off Metro. I can't believe one of those two is going to the Final Four. I woke up this morning and I saw that, and I said, I can't believe one of those songs is going to the Final Four.
Yeah, well, the people have spoken, and I was sad to see Metro not advance.
Wait, your parents are probably sad as well. That's probably the topic all weekend.
That's the
Market Mall. Market Mall. They were going for their walks.
Yeah. Food court at Grandma Lee's. Everybody's talking about it, right? Go there and get your cinnamon bun and your coffee, and everybody's talking about, do you hear? Metro he got punted. He's out. So yeah, they're talking. I think it's a big topic at Market Mall right now.
Hey, Ray, what kind of operation is your son running over there? Metro loses.
You got any pull at all? Can you get Metro back in it?
And how old are these cinnamon buns? Yeah, I know. It would be a hot topic at Grandma Lee's and Market Mall for sure. But we're onward and upward. So if you want to vote on that, 936-6262, or go to SportsCage, Twitter, X, and you can do it there. Football. There's 2 Monday Nighters tonight.
I know.
Two. Not the greatest matchups. Co-host Ryan Pollock, who kind of sits in here once a week-ish. He's at the Vikings-Bears contest in Minneapolis. And then the Raiders and Falcons. And they're only staggered by a half hour. That's the weird thing. I like when they do the East Coast, West Coast thing, and then you can kind of just sit on the couch all night. Or
I was going to say,
boy.
Yeah, then you got more football time, right? Another reason to call in sick.
Any beanbag chair? Yeah. People still sit in beanbag chairs? Curtis, you seem like a beanbag chair kind of guy.
Yeah, I just purchased one the other day.
Yeah. You put your hair up when you sit in it?
I was going to say man bun, an edible,
just
a beanbag. There he goes. Just relaxing.
Having a good time.
Snacking. Having lots of snacks.
The big
organic.
Thing, big thing for me is I don't own a couch, but I wanted somewhere comfy to sit.
Ah.
And I was on Facebook Marketplace trying to get one, and there's a surprising amount of people that try to like scam you on Facebook Marketplace, and I just gave up. And I was like, I'm gonna buy a beanbag chair. So
Hey,
It is a bad
Bidsy.
thing. It's a bad thing with the couch thing. The couch thing is a bad thing on Marketplace. I had my stepson get hosed on buying a couch there. I think he lost. It wasn't a lot. I think he lost like $200 or something like that.
Yeah. My wife got scammed out of a vacuum, out of a Dyson once on there. Oh, it was,
Yeah.
I felt so bad for her, and it was, Hey, do you remember those chairs in the 80s, Bidsy? I saw one of these at a secondhand store in Kalispell, Montana this summer, and it took me back. They were so popular. If you look it up there, I just, papasan chair, Papasan. How the heck would you pronounce that?
Without even figuring out what it is, I'm going to say, is it one of those like chairs that's like a big half circle that you kind of
Wicker.
edit? Yeah, exactly. That's what it is right now. I knew right away. I knew right away. It's a big half circle thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those were great. That was in the probably in the 70s when probably everybody was a gypsy
80s.
and like we
80s, man. Late 80s. And it was like, it was kind of like Curtis, right? Like a lot of people, I remember my sisters' friends and boyfriends and brother-in-laws, they're all living on their own. They're kind of first places to live on their own. And those were a staple.
Yeah, I knew it's a big half circle thing. It's like a bowl. It's like but a bowl on a slight angle there. And yeah, quite often wicker. The thing is with those though too, I always remember some of my older relatives. You go over to somebody's house, maybe just by the luck of the draw. You know, somebody else is sitting on the couch, somebody's on the love seat. Then they're like, oh, okay, I got the papasan chair here. And then when your older relatives would get in there, they could not get out. They would have to get out. You had to kind of like tip them out of there.
It's over. You know who we got to bring this up to, and maybe Curtis will go and get a picture when Eric Francis is on in hour 2. There is guaranteed he has one. He had one of these. What do you want to wager? Do you want to put anybody want to put a breakfast on it? Francis had one of these chairs. So Curtis, you got to search it before the 4:00 hour when he's on, and then we will figure it out. Papasan chairs. They got to be papasan, right? But yeah, what do you think tonight? Bears and Vikings. I need the Vikings to cover 7 points. Bad. At home?
Yeah, you know what? I think they would at home. You know, I think they would. They should be able to. The only way they don't, obviously, is if they are just looking past the 4-9 Bears being 11-2. They are. Otherwise, yeah, the Vikings should be able to cover that. And then what about the second one?
Falcons Raiders. Like I really have no idea, and I could care less. Don't know anything about these two teams. That one's going to be hard to watch. I might watch the Oilers Panthers game later because that's a rematch that's out there this evening. Yeah. Rematch of the Stanley Cup. Not that I get all, it's a rematch. The Oilers, they want redemption. No, you can. You lost the Stanley Cup. It's a game in December. And then, you know what? We should also, we have the WHL report coming up later. We'll go through what happened in the dub. We'll also talk some World Juniors. But let's take a quick break here. And when we get back, we will have Justin Dunk on with us. We're going to talk some CFL football, some Trevor Harris contract, and also we'll dabble in the college football playoffs, which is coming up this weekend as well. It is the all-new Sports Cage. We are streaming at SportsCage.com, and thanks for listening on the radio at 620 CKRM. Welcome back. It's for Kellen Solar, getting water from your dugouts without electricity. Kellen Solar. And the fellas and ladies in Lumsden can get you hooked up there. Bidsy, Clayton from Wishart, sorry if I butchered that. I always get that town name screwed up. He's saying he's not even voting today on the bracket because Metro got the raw end of the deal. But
also he's boycotting in honor of Metro.
Little bit, yeah. He's standing with Metro, basically.
Yeah.
No,
Metro abandoned the people, and he's standing by him. Okay,
that's fine. But if I could ask one thing, Clayton, just go on there and vote for Dolly. Give me a little hard candy Christmas vote because I want to see that. advance pass. Even a Band-Aid's such a good song. Jose Feliciano, Bing Crosby. Like, that's like the Atlanta Falcons, Los Angeles Raiders tonight for me. It's like, I don't really know. So we'll get more on the bracket challenge as we go along. Western Pizza, it's perfect. I had a guy say I went and picked up a stocking stuffer gift. I needed a $25 gift, and I was right by a Western Pizza. I just walked in, got a $25 gift card. There you go, bingo, bango. And if you need any last-minute catering options, if you're going to a potluck, call your local Western Pizza. Let's go out on the hotline. Justin Dunk's been waiting for us. We see him there if you're watching the stream. Justin Dunk. Hey, can I ask you the old generic question? Are you ready for Christmas?
Yeah, man, I'm ready. I'm more about experiences than gifts, to be quite honest. So I'd rather put my money towards that with the loved ones around me.
Hey, I like that. Go somewhere. See something. Don't
exactly.
buy one of those.
For an example, I took my nephew Elliot to the Chicago Blackhawks game when Connor Bedard was in town to see the Leafs because that's his favorite player. So tangible example for you.
That's awesome. What is it like going to a Leafs game? I've never been to a Leafs game. They always get a bad rap of people talking about how it's all the suits and there's no atmosphere in there. What's it like?
They're kind of right. There's a lack of atmosphere. I think it's getting a little better, but specifically when I took Elliot, he was just in awe and wanted to watch Connor Bedard's every move. So that's all I was focused on was, getting up close for warm-ups and making sure that he had enough popcorn and all that good stuff. But he enjoyed it. I don't think he would complain about it, but I think the hardcore Maple Leafs fans would tell you that they wish that it was more of a home ice advantage for TML.
Quickly before we move on, I know you probably went to the concession and loaded up the youngster with some snacks and a pop and a popcorn and cotton candy and whatever else he wanted. Did you happen to notice the concession prices? You probably didn't get a pop, but maybe you got a brewski. But I heard that they're just nutso and they bumped up again in Toronto.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I can't really recall it being outrageous. Like, we went and had dinner at Real Sports before the game, and I think that was, fairly reasonable. The bill was maybe $50-$60 plus whatever tip. And then we went in there and fortunately got some free popcorn and some snacks and stuff, but he wanted to go get some ice cream, and I think we got like a vitamin water or something like that. And that came to I think it was less than $20. I'll tell you guys, the thing that stuck out most to me actually was the fact that there was actually Toronto Argonauts gear in Scotiabank Arena during a Maple Leafs game that you could buy. So it wasn't the concession prices that stuck out to me. It was the fact that there was actually CFL representation in there.
Wow. Like game worn stuff?
Not game worn stuff, but all their Grey Cup stuff. There was a bunch of Toronto Maple Leafs game worn stuff, sticks and helmets and skates and all that kind of stuff. But the championship gear for the Argos was actually in the concessions.
Speaking of money, and it's a great segue. Trevor Harris deal, you had it on the 3 Down Nation, came out. He calls it a team-friendly deal. When you break down this contract, Justin, what are the highlights, or what are the things that you like, and then maybe some of the things that you thought they could have done a little bit different?
I really think that it's balanced here, and Trevor Harris, I believe, is nothing but honest. And when he said that, he felt like it's a team-friendly deal if you feel like I'm in the top tier of CFL quarterbacks. So this deal is going to rank him 5th among starting CFL quarterbacks across the league. He gets $160,000 in signing bonus money, which as an American resident, he gets a better tax rate on. So that's going to help him out. You look at the deal from an overall perspective, $399,700 in what in CFL terms we call hard money. That's not guaranteed money, but you're likely to get that money, which I think was fair, because if you're the Riders and Jeremy O'Day sitting on one side of the table, you can say, hey, the last couple of seasons, you've missed some games, you haven't played the full 18, so we want you to earn some of this money. So the deal can go all the way up to $453,700 with $54,000 available in additional playtime incentives. That differs, Barney, from his previous 2 years with the Riders, where all of his money was hard money. So if he got hurt, the Riders were still paying that money, and perhaps some of it could have gone on the salary cap. Now, both times in 2024, this year, he was on for 6 games, and the year before, it was almost the entire season. I think it was after 5 games. So that's where there was a little bit of give and take in this deal.
I like that. And it's not to the same extent, but I'm a firm believer, I guess, since, the last 20 some years of my life, it's like if you're in sales, it's like, no, don't pay me a base. pay me commission. Pay me on what I go and do. And I love that. So he's kind of doing that here. Maybe this is kind of putting you in the spot a little bit, Justin, but of all, since you've been covering the league, what is the one contract that throughout the years that was really team friendly, where the quarterback says, nope, keep that. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do, and then you're going to pay me?
Whew. Dude, I have to rack my brain. It's recent, and it's probably recency bias creeping in, but Bo Levi Mitchell had a down season in 2023. Mm-hmm. Took a big pay cut on his contract in terms of the hard money. I think went sub $300,000, bounced back through for over 5,000 yards. Now he wants more money. So, in recent memory, that's something that comes to mind for me, but it's hard to do. You guys know this. As a football player, your career is so short. So you can't necessarily take a big team-friendly cut off your price, because the next year, if you don't perform up to snuff, there might not be a contract there for you.
Unless you're Tom Brady and your wife's a supermodel. That's the only guy that could really get that done. Maybe Travis Kelce is a non-quarterback.
Supermodel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sorry, Bidsy, go ahead.
No, it's okay. But yeah, when you're the star of the league and your wife still makes twice as much as you, yeah, Tom Brady could get away with that back in the day. Giselle was bringing in a boatload of cash. Okay, so are there any other contracts? This happens quite a bit, JD, where contracts that are signed somewhere in the ballpark time frame around another contract affect that contract. Were there any contracts that affected Trevor Harris that were signed by some other quarterbacks fairly recently that things were based off of?
Definitely. I don't think necessarily from the based off of standpoint, but the fact that every other team had signed their quarterback who they wanted to be their starter, I think affected this. Because on one side, if you're Trevor Harris, you're saying, I'd like to be around that $500,000 mark in hard money, most likely, which is where essentially he was last season, $491,000. The year before it was $500,000. But on the other side, the Riders are going to say, well, no other team out here is going to pay you starter money because they have their guys. So once Montreal signed Davis Alexander, and everybody in the league knew that the Elks were going to lock down Trey Ford with CFL starting quarterback money, then that left Harris and the Riders to have that push-pull, give and take, whatever you want to say. So, I don't want to sort of skirt your question, but there wasn't like a contract that was specifically relatable to Harris's, because those new deals with Davis Alexander and Trey Ford, for example, were for young up-and-comers, guys who have, never taken a team to a Grey Cup before.
Who do you when do we hear something about Shea Patterson, do you think, JD?
Man, I get the sense from talking to people around the league that the Riders are going to play it patient at the quarterback position and see who might shake free in free agency. Is it a Jake Maier? And, we've gone over the whole Cody Fajardo thing. He ain't come back to Sask, okay? Are there other guys out there that they like as a potential backup? Because with all due respect to Shea Patterson, and I think he stepped in and played decently well, if you talk to people around the league who do this for a living, evaluate talent, they feel like Jake Maier has so much more upside than Shea Patterson. And perhaps Shea Patterson does have some upside down the road, and we're dissing him a little bit. But I think Jake Maier is like the ideal guy here. And from his perspective, too, where Maier can step in behind a guy like Trevor Harris, who's on a one-year contract, who, he admittedly said he's going to be 39 going into the 2025 season. And I think is pretty self-aware, but he's also not necessarily had a lot of tread on the tires, because Trevor Harris started to be a number one quarterback later in his career, guys. So I look at this, and it just almost makes too much sense, which usually in the CFL means it doesn't happen, that Jake Maier goes there as the starting quarterback. Backup quarterback.
I was going to add this one to you. You mentioned or used a phrase, an analogy there, JD, tread on the tires. Okay, everybody loves Trevor Harris. He is a great guy. You get a chance to talk to him, you're like, I'm rooting for that guy. He is a swell fella, but he's going to be 39. He has had some injuries. He missed 6 games last year. He missed the whole season before that. We all know a CFL season is hard on quarterbacks at 18 games, and because it's only 3 downs, they pass more, they're put in harm's way more. Are the Riders then even more so than the rest of the teams? I know it could happen to anyone at any time, but with those things being said about their starting quarterback, are they even more pressed to make sure that they get their number 2 guy right?
I think that's all teams in the CFL, but that's a fair question and a point for the Riders, Bidsy, is that you got to have that number 2 guy. And, Shea Patterson showed he could play just under 500 football in those 6 starts, going 2-3-1. But, you talk about Trevor Harrison wanting to play all 18 games. That's his number 1 goal for next year. And, the injuries were kind of freak injuries. We're not talking about non-contact injuries like, I don't want to pick on any, but let's say a Jeremiah Masoli, who had an ACL and then tore his Achilles. Both were non-contact. So Trevor Harris, from a physical standpoint, I think is in great shape. He had somebody fall on his knee, and then he just was caught up in an unfortunate situation for the tibial plateau fracture that, he almost missed the entire, 2023 season. So I think he can stay healthy, but you're right. In the CFL, you do need to get that backup quarterback position right, because that's ultimately going to set you apart. And all the teams know it now, that you got to have 2 to get you through the season. It's rare to see a guy go 18 starts.
Mm-hmm. McLeod, Bethel, Thompson, or Nick Arbuckle? Who signs first?
Ooh, it's probably Nick Arbuckle re-signing in Toronto. I have a hard time seeing him, going anywhere else, because Ryan Dinwiddie really likes him. And if you believe Dinwiddie at his word, he's told Arbuckle that he has a spot on his coaching staff when he's done playing. And Arbuckle told me, he doesn't want to move his family again, right? He's moved his family out to Edmonton and then Ottawa, where he thought he was going to be the franchise guy. So I think he feels comfortable in Toronto. So it's probably Arbuckle re-signing, and then McLeod, Bethel, Thompson, I think probably makes it to free agency unless someone wants to deal for his rights early.
What is I just saw on 3 Down Nation, Joe getting a look, my boy, Joe getting a look in the NFL. What do you know about this?
There's some interest building and a buzz going on about Joe in the NFL. He had a workout last week with the Denver Broncos. Today was in Pittsburgh with the Steelers. As you mentioned, we reported at 3downnation.com. And when you look at Joe's background, he was a highly touted recruit at Clemson University, flashed there, but then, it didn't necessarily work out for a myriad of reasons. But we saw the tantalizing potential, all of us guys, that Joe has. He's got the size, got the physicality, he's got enough speed to get by, I think, in the NFL. So I think this interest in him is going to build. Riders fans aren't going to want to see him sign a contract down there, but if it continues this way, then I think that's a distinct possibility.
What about Dylan Gabriel on the negotiation list?
Man, that's interesting. We're going to get into talking about the college football playoff here, and the Riders actually had him on their negotiation list, but he has had such a great year with Oregon, looks pretty good in green, and the Riders thought so too, that they actually removed him in September. But it was a guy that the Riders were eyeing up, as a potential down the road kind of a guy on the negotiation list. So if you're watching the college football playoff, check out Dylan Gabriel, because his NFL interest has grown so much that, at least the Riders and probably some of the other CFL teams feel like, he's probably not ready to come up here yet. So he was once property of the Riders, but as of September, they had taken him off.
This college football playoff bracket, I know it's especially down south, and you listen to the other shows, it's taking a lot of heat. Will it change? I think it'll change next year. I really have a tough time believing the Arizona State Sun Devils are in the, final 8. It's baffling. and Boise. It's like if
Boise State, the 3rd seed. It's wild.
Yeah. It's like, what? If someone was in, not to make light of it, if someone was in a coma for the last 12 months and you told them that, and they were a college football fan, they'd say, you're full of it. No, but obviously the big game is Rourke and Indiana, Notre Dame. You had a chance to catch or to have the presser with him. We're going to run some of it tomorrow. What do you think about that matchup and this Canadian? Because really, Justin, I'm going to be full disclosure. I watched him play the one game against Ohio and had to turn it off in the 3rd. So I don't have the sample size. What is he all about?
Yeah, man. And, that game, they went right down the field on the opening series, scored a touchdown, and looked like they're going to be in it. And then, they talked about process and crowd noise there and the shoe, and it can obviously be loud. But I think actually that game can be a great experience for them to use going in to Notre Dame, who is one of the top-ranked defenses in NCAA football. But Curtis Rourke's a guy who's unflappable. He's not really going to show you his emotions. He's not going to really get too frustrated. And I think most importantly for him personally, he understands how important this game is against Notre Dame, but also potentially making a run in the CFP for his NFL draft stock. He has a legit NFL agent in Casey Muir, who actually used to represent Duke Williams, who played with the Rough Riders at one time, but he's NFL focused right now. So the fact he's got a legitimate NFL agent tells me that the interest in him is real. And this tape coming from the Notre Dame game, and if he wins that and goes on in the CFP, is going to be vital for boosting his draft stock. Potentially, I've talked to people around the CFL who have NFL contacts as well, and have talked to NFL people. They feel like, Curtis Rourke could boost himself up into potentially, from the late rounds or from a preferred undrafted free agent into the late rounds, and potentially, get up even into the mid rounds.
Last one for me, JD. We talked a little bit about these teams, and as Shink said, some of them you kind of scratch your head at wondering how they're there. But who do you like in this one? Not to win it all. Who do you like in this one? Who are you a fan of these teams that are left here? Like, I'm not saying that Notre Dame is the team that I'm hoping wins it all, or I think will win it all. But man, would I love to see a game at Notre Dame. Is there somebody here that you're a real fan of?
That game's going to be cool. I like the kind of Cinderella story, even though, Barney might not. I'm not sure if he does or not, but of Boise State. The fact that you have Ashton Jeanty there, who could have left in this NIL era, stays there, has them as the 3rd seed, and they're going to get a legit shot to show they can compete with the big boys, which is, I think, part of what the CFP was about, right? I was talking to somebody in the U.S., and they were telling me that, let's say, for example, March Madness, okay? It can bring in over $4 billion in revenue. Like, they feel like there's a bigger cash flow there than there is right now in college football. So if you look at, iterations before that, the old way of doing it would bring in about $1 billion. So I think that they're looking at some of these, potential upsets, just like what happens in March Madness, as a way to engage even more fans with obviously more games. So for me, to answer your question, I'm looking at Boise State. I'm curious what they can do. But if you watch Oregon, and that's why I wanted to touch on Dylan Gabriel, like, they are a well-oiled machine, went up and down the field on Penn State, who has a pretty good defense. I think they're going to be hard to knock off, but they're certainly a fun offense to watch if you like high-scoring football.
I can't, and hey, maybe I'm an absolute pigeon, but I feel like I'm an Alabama fan just because I went to a game this year now, and then they're left out. And after going to that game, I can't imagine people's heads in Tuscaloosa and around that area that they're not even in this thing. Like, I cannot even fathom. That would be the Netflix series I would want to see. What's the Crimson Tide faithful? Think about it. Notre Dame, when was Notre Dame in the final? It was a few years ago, and they just absolutely got smashed.
By Alabama, I think it was.
And it was like, Notre Dame, this kind of feel-good story. And then it was like, yeah, not even in the same. I'm so curious, Justin, to see how Boise would play either Penn State or SMU.
SMU, yeah.
That's winnable. I think, your big boys, your Texas and Ohio State's going to be strong. It's going to be interesting. Curious what they do next year. And Arizona, man, nothing wrong with that campus, but their football team in the Final 8. All right. No, this has been great, Justin. Thanks so much for all the insight, especially starting it with the Toronto Maple Leaf tickets. You're gonna have to go to a game there and experience this.
Dude, you've never been to one yet out here?
Not there. I've never been to a game in Toronto, and I've never been to a game in Montreal. Montreal, I really want to go to.
Yeah, I would say put Montreal ahead of Toronto. I haven't been to a Canadiens game myself personally, but you talk to people and just the atmosphere in downtown and the buzz, and there's that same feel in Toronto. The playoff games in Toronto are different, right? Because they have the game on the big screen outside. You get the real fans there. There's the buzz, and I think there's, a buzz on the inside. I've been fortunate to cover some Maple Leafs playoff games. But yeah, I would definitely rank Montreal ahead. The one thing there's no doubt about, fellas, is the tickets for the Maple Leafs are just insane. Like, fortunately, through some connections, shout out to my guy Bill Vastus, I got given tickets to that game against the Blackhawks, but that was the second most expensive game all year. Like, if I had to buy those tickets, guys, it would have been like $1,000 a piece. The
Really?
top most expensive game. Yeah, top most expensive game would have been Connor McDavid, obviously, but it's crazy, man. I mean, it depends where you're going to sit too, but it's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Bidsy, you'd have to sell your papasan chair to get a ticket.
I'd have to put my papasan chair on Marketplace, and then what I do is I just put one papasan chair on their thing, and then
If you're watching the stream,
I'd scam 15 people, and I'd only sell one papasan chair.
And a lot of beanbag chairs to get those tickets, fellas.
Yeah. Justin talked about and the joke that I know a lot of, especially Habs fan that listens. He's like, yeah, but there isn't a lot of Leaf playoffs game. That's why the tickets are so sparse. That's the joke for that everyone's going to want to say. Justin, thanks so much for this, and let's catch up again probably in the new year.
Sounds good, fellas. If I don't talk to you again, have a Merry Christmas, and everybody out there, enjoy the holidays.
Yeah,
you too, JD.
Justin Dunk, he's our guy. Pre-game, post-game show, Rider Broadcast, also 3 Down Nation. You can go there and check out that Trevor Harris contract story. Kind of breaks it down pretty simple there for everything. And then, of course, the marketing dollars, $20,000 in marketing. Heck, make it. I don't know why they just don't make it $200,000 in marketing dollars. Whatever, but like that whole marketing thing in the CFL, I love it. Curious where that goes this year for all these quarterbacks and all the high-end players. Nathan Rourke, what is he doing for his marketing cash?
His marketing money, yeah.
Okay, we would check out the votes here when we get back. People are chiming in on the papasan chair. That is for sure. That struck a nerve. A lot of people remember that. Can't wait to talk to Eric Francis on it. If I could sprinkle on it, I would bet the farm that he owned one at one point. You don't think so?
Yeah. Well, either he did or maybe not he. Well, you know what? Maybe it would have been in his era for sure. Yeah, his college days. And he probably had 2. That would have been like in Friends. They would have been like it would have been just 2 papasan
Him and
chairs.
Farhan Lalji when they were buddies and roommates.
Yeah,
and hot tub
chairs,
guys.
2 of them. Yeah,
So we're not betting if the over-under's at 1.5.
Yeah, no, we're gonna come. We gotta come because he doesn't listen to the program before he comes on because he's always too busy playing. What does he play? Squash or tennis and skates and all that. We're gonna come.
Automatic hockey.
Yeah, we're gonna come from left field. We're just gonna blindside him from left field. A lot of fun. You see, it's a Monday. It's going off the rails already. It is the all new Sports Cage streaming at sportscage.com. That's what happens when you get excited for Eric Francis. Colson said you play the intro about 25 minutes too early. So let's be like, what does it say? Like, let's be like little Fonzies. Let's be cool here. I know we're going to blindside Eric with the papasan chair, but let's keep it cool. Don't forget the NFL lives at the Canadian Brew House. Go by there tonight. Watch both of those games. Thursday night, you also have a chance to win a trip to an NFL home opener of your choice. They got $1 off tankards and Bud Light and Budweiser on Thursdays. All the details at the Canadian Brew House. Both locations in Regina, and then the one in Moose Jaw will be buzzing tonight with 2 Monday night football games going on. It's the Monday Sports Cage, brought to you by Kellen Solar, the C's, Barney Shynkaruk, and Derek Bidwell. Kate, do you want to get the Swift Current curling event that's going on? It's a big event. While you're doing that, I gotta say we got a shout out here to Gil Dash from Wosley. He's the third or the skip. They must have a little bit of a revolving door, but he's on his way to the 2025 World Wheelchair Curling Championships representing Team Canada. It's going to take place in Stevenston, Scotland. So Gil Dash, if anyone knows Gil Dash from Wosley Way, he's going to wear the Maple Leaf 2025 World Wheelchair Curling Championships representing Canada. What's going on in Swifty when it comes to curling? Didn't the Scottish team win the women's event?
Yeah, the Scottish team did win the women's event, and that's not the Scottish team, the Swiss team.
Swiss.
Yes, the Swiss team, and that Swiss team.
Samsonite, Swami.
Yeah, exactly. A little Dumb and Dumber reference there for all those that loved it so much, like Shink and I did. Yeah, they're the reigning world junior champs. This team that won on the women's side from Switzerland. They won on a steal actually in the final, and they won 7-6, and that was for Xenia Schwaller. Their squad from Switzerland, they defeated Michelle Englot's team from Regina 7-6 on the women's side of things. On the men's side of things, Shink, we have the semifinals going on right now. I believe they are now in the books. They may have just finished here from the last refresh on the page. It looks like Brad Jacobs defeated Matt Dunstone by a score of 6-5 in the one semifinal, and it looks like the other one is Kevin Cooey defeating Brent Price by a score of 3-2. So it looks like it will be Kevin Cooey and Brad Jacobs in the men's final for the big event in Swift Current.
And that's I think that goes today, doesn't it? It wraps up today?
It does. Yeah. It does. It goes tonight. Yeah. It'll be, it'd probably take a break here for about an hour, and then it'll get going again there in Swift. The last matchup, once again, Brad Jacobs versus Kevin Cooey.
We'll try and recap that for you tomorrow on the show. You know what we just got word of? That at some point in the next 3 hours, we're going to trigger it here on the Capital Ford Lincoln text line, Saskatchewan's #1 Ford retailer. We are going to have 2 hours of simulated golf at the Royal Regina to give away. Colson just got word. We're getting it from the bosses.
Oh.
So we're going to start taking entries for that. You know what we'll probably do? We'll probably say, I want to go play golf again. Let us know. I want to go golf. Guys, I'd like to take my wife for some simulator golf. That not a bad play, but you also got to vote. It's Band-Aid versus Dolly Parton and Jose Feliciano versus Bing Crosby. Again, I can't believe one of those is making the Final Four. Jose Feliciano. He came a long way, though. He better get his money's worth. Not one and done. Jose Feliciano sings Feliz Navidad against Bing Crosby, who knocked off Metro. I'll be home for Christmas. It's a slow one.
Okay. Now, can I just ask for a little bit of a refresh here for those that maybe weren't listening to Sports Cage, which is not very many people, but normally you listen every day, but I wasn't able to last week. So can you tell me when I lost some of my favorites in this thing? Like, when did I lose Boney M? When did I lose Elton John? Like, when?
Boney M's in the Elite Eight.
Boney M's playing tomorrow.
They're playing tomorrow.
Okay.
They're up against Alan Jackson. Let it be Christmas. We're gonna need a strong push from the Alan Jackson camp to knock off Boney M. Mary's Boy Child. That's a wagon of a song in our ultimate Christmas song bracket. And then what's the other one tomorrow?
Blue Christmas.
Blue Christmas by Elvis, which I'm still shocked that got past Wham.
And then All I Want.
Oh, Mariah Carey.
Christmas Queen.
Mariah Carey is like the Alabama.
There's some stronger ones. Okay, I forgot about that. There was another 4. I didn't know there was another 4. I was wondering what the heck happened to some of those wagons. Okay, and what about my Elton John Step Into Christmas? Did that make it into the?
Absolutely slapped around by Alan Jackson. Alan Jackson took off his cowboy hat and just slapped. Didn't even punch him. Slapped him.
Didn't even put on his Wranglers. He just slapped him. Just cowboy boots on. Just this.
He had a chaw in.
Come over here. Yeah.
Come over here, son. So vote on those. We'll have some simulator golf to give away as well. Hockey this weekend. I got a couple of tidbits here. Yorkton, AAA midget, U18 for the new school. AAA midget. Yorkton, they split with Swift on the weekend, but that's a surprising win for the young Yorkton squad. Kaysen Silbernagel, 34 saves in the win, so if you know him around the Yorkton area, buy him a Slurpee. Big win for Yorkton. Pat Canadians and Warman, they split on the weekend, and we'll have the games this week because WHL, the Pats are off now. Blades are off as well. We got Les coming up tomorrow, all you Les Lazaruk fans. So local hockey, we're all over it here on the new Sports Cage. Just we get a lot of messages in. People are like, hey, thanks for mentioning Junior B. Thanks for mentioning AAA. Thanks for mentioning, Senior and SJHL, all that jazz. So there are some really good AAA games still this week in the league. The Mandy Schwartz tournament wrapped up in Notre Dame. We are out there Thursday doing the live show. Shawnigan Lake School won the championship this year. Sharky thought they were one of the favorites. Sharky was correct. So congratulations to them. They're trying to expand that tournament next year from the 16 that they had, if they can get ice surfaces. I guess SJHL-wise, the Weyburn Red Wings been displaced, playing in Assiniboia at that beautiful rink, Bidsy.
Yeah.
And
is it because of this ammonia leak still going on there or something, or whatever
big
happened
ammonia
there?
leak town. Yep. Happened twice.
Big
in
ammonia
Weyburn.
leak building, that one. Okay.
Yeah, so they're hopefully fixing it for the new year here. But of all accounts that I heard from some people of Assiniboia, open arms. They had the 2 games this weekend. Place was buzzing. Really good. They had for what did Cody say? Like 30 people step up, 30-some people step up to billet these kids.
That's
players.
awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's a perfect time of year. But you know what? It also just shows you just how, once again, Sasky comes through. And when you're one of those towns too, whether it's Assiniboia or, whatever, so many small towns, you're asked to step up. It's almost like you're being challenged, right? So you're like, oh, you think we're going to step up? Oh, you think we can fill? Oh, we'll show you what we can do.
Yes.
We set our mind to it. Yeah, that's awesome.
We can't bill it. I have 2 bedrooms that someone can sleep in and a papasan chair. We got lots of places for people to stay. So we'll run down more hockey as we go. Hour 2, Eric Francis coming up. The clutch performer, hour 3, Darian Durant, and one of the parents of the Saskatchewan boys making the World Junior team. It is the all-new Sports Cage, Bidsy and Shink, on this Monday for Kellen Solar. We'll be back after news. Welcome back, all-new Sports Cage. Barney, Shynkaruk, Derek Bidwell on this Monday, and the C's are with us. Going out here on the Capital Ford Lincoln text line quickly. Come on, Roscoe. You got to pay attention to what's going on here. Roscoe wants to vote for Dolly and Metro. Metro packed his bags last week. Metro lost in the bracket. So we can put you down for a Dolly, Roscoe. But Metro lost. And then we also got some more votes here. Dolly Parton Christmas song. Thanks, Wayne from Regina, Kirk, Rosie, and Sheila.
I like how Roscoe is not accepting it, though. He's just not going to accept it. Metro, in his books, he's still in it.
Yeah, that seems to be the trend. Where all these people needed friends to vote last week when Metro was sitting there battling right till the bitter end. Poor Metro was all by himself. Like that guy that got jumped outside the bar.
Everybody else had their Christmas parties the day that Metro needed some votes to come in.
Jeez.
Where were you guys when I needed you?
Hour 2 is when we will also start the giveaway for 2 hours simulator golf at the Royal Regina, the best sims in the city. And also the most reasonable prices when it comes to simulator golf, the Royal Regina Golf Course. Ryan Pollock, manager there, he usually joins us on this show. He's at the one Monday nighter tonight, Minnesota and Chicago in Minneapolis. The other one, if you're an Atlanta or Vegas fan, you will be watching that game. But other than that, I don't know what's going on. Nothing locally really this evening too. When you look at the slate of hockey and what's going on. So SJHL, a full SJHL report tomorrow with Benny. Speaking of golf, here's a guy that likes to swing the wrenches. It's time to talk NHL.
It's time to talk hockey on the all-new Sports Cage with NHL analyst Eric Francis. Brought to you by South A Mainline, the Mainline Automotive Group's newest king of trucks. South A Mainline, just 30 minutes north of Regina. Worth the drive every time, guaranteed.
Yeah, so the Mainline's got 13,000 off select 2024 Ram 1500s right now. Okay, so Eric, you probably weren't listening to the first hour of the show. Too bad for you. But I got a wager going here with these fellas that some point of your life you owned one of these. If you're watching the stream, there it is. Did you ever own your bachelor days, a papasan chair back in the 80s and 90s?
I got to tell you, I've seen them. I've never heard that term before. Man. I'm sorry.
I thought for sure You seem like the bachelor guy that had the nice, neon signs in your apartment. You're having after the bar.
Chairs.
Everyone was coming back to Eric's. I'm going to take the papasan chair. Oh.
No,
This is why you
no,
don't
I
go
was-
sprinkling the farm, Barney. Come on, man.
Yeah, no, I would have lost big.
I got a hot tub. I've always had a hot tub. That was something that I thought was a lure back to the house, but it was just creepy in a lot of people's eyes. So that never worked either.
Well, they say that the gateway to a hot tub in the 80s was the papasan chair. So
Where you
that's
started.
why I thought. That's why I thought for sure you would have had one. But okay, well, again, I guess I don't know you as well as I thought I do.
Sorry, you lost that bet.
No one wanted to bet me here either, so I didn't lose anything. Speaking, I might sprinkle tonight on the Florida Panthers Edmonton Oilers game rematch. If the football games are sleepers, I'll go tune into that. Florida was just in Calgary, and I saw your piece on Sam Bennett, and it's really kind of interesting to think like where Sam Bennett was. I forget how many years ago it was, but he was kind of almost a castaway in Calgary at one point.
It was like less than 4 years ago. He was a healthy scratch. This is their highest draft pick of all time, 4th overall, 2014, and over 6 years with the team, like he'd show up in the playoffs. He was playoff Sam Bennett. Everybody loved him, but they could never get that out of him during the regular season. And then he gets traded. He asked for that trade, goes to Florida, and like I remember, I was actually going to look at the game logs, but I bet you the first game he had 2 or 3 points. Second game he had 2 or 3 points, and he lit it up till into the playoffs and then through the playoffs. And he's been, well, now he's on Team Canada. He's got a Stanley Cup ring. It's been quite a journey for Sam Bennett, for a guy who, this organization. I'm not going to say they gave up on him, but he kind of gave up on this organization. And I do think it's interesting. Like Flames are looking for a centerman. And, they're looking for someone to ignite Huberdeau. And Paul Maurice was telling me on the weekend that was what Sam Bennett credits his turnaround to. Like, a fresh new opportunity, but also playing with Huberdeau. And so now you could come back here, get paid a whole lot of money. The Flames got a whole lot of money. Only one team's got more cap space than the Flames. Flames want to make a splash. They know Sam Bennett. They need a center. He's a little older than they'd like to spend on. And I'm not sure he's the answer, but I'm just telling you, I think there's a pretty interesting, I think there's some synergy there.
And you know what? You go, if you could have looked in a crystal ball when everyone was picking on him in Calgary, Eric, when I was there too, we were just talking, all they could talk about was Sam Bennett can't do any pull-ups. That's the big thing. Everybody's just talking about Sam Bennett at the combine and his pull-ups. Like, what a dumb thing. And then all of a sudden, if you could look in a crystal ball and go, you know what, Sam, it's going to turn out okay because you're going to get a Stanley Cup ring and you're going to be on Team Canada for this Four Nations Cup thing that's coming up. And you know what? You're going to be thought of one of the grittier, better forwards in the league. So don't worry about all these guys talking about the pull-ups thing.
Well, it's funny. The legend of the pull-ups is carried, through. He is remembered for that. Couldn't do a single one at the combine, but I think a lot of people forget as part of that legend that he came to camp that year, a whole bunch of excitement around him. And he tried to play through the pain of a shoulder injury, and he ended up missing the entire season to get shoulder surgery. So, there was a reason why he couldn't do the pull-ups, but he was trying to tough it out and show people that he could fight through it, which is kind of the way he is. He's pretty gritty, as we know. So people forget about the fact that he, soon thereafter required major repairs to that shoulder, which explains why he couldn't do a pull-up. I bet he could do a whole lot of pull-ups right now. I bet you that much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on a fancy diamond-encrusted pull-up bar. He's made so much money. Yeah. So his last year junior, he only played 11 games, right? Yeah, he was injured for Kingston. Bad shoulder. I watched that game. You guys are like this. I sprinkled on it, lost because I took Florida, and I watched the game on Saturday. I don't know, Spencer Knight. He let in one goal in that game that I thought I was watching D Division adult safe hockey.
Yeah, I think it's been a tough road for Spencer since he's come back. I mean, I actually haven't looked at his numbers, but that was a tough night for Knight. I'm not pegging the whole thing on him. I mean, the Panthers have 1 goal in their last 3 games. So when you're talking about sprinkling a little on the game tonight, I hope you're thinking about sprinkling it the Oilers' way. The Panthers are not in a good way right now, and they also, you know, they're a little banged up too. So, you know, but I don't know if Barkov's back tonight. He was a game time decision in Calgary, didn't play. So, you know, it's a team that's got some banged up players, and they're going to need to kickstart some turnaround of some sort soon.
Yeah, well, maybe the Oilers -1.5 tonight is the Eric Francis smart play for me. I can't believe, I think I told you the story once before, when I took my son to Boston for his 10th birthday, right out of COVID, and then we went and we both got COVID and came back, and I thought my wife was going to shoot me. I'm glad she doesn't have a firearm. Seriously. So we went and watched Northeastern play Denver College, and this goaltender in net for Northeastern. Unbelievable rink, by the way. If you ever get, like, this is, I think, the last year to go watch a game there. And I'm like, who is this guy in net? And it was Devin Levi. And he played for the World Juniors that year, or the year before. And my buddy was like, yeah, he is like so good. And talk about, like, he is just now bumming around in the minors. I think they were going to call him up. But the Buffalo Sabres, and apologize to Sabre fans, but they are a dumpster fire and have been for a long time, for a passionate fan base.
Well, and Levi is a good example. Like, so right after you would have seen him then, his first year after he finished at college, he comes and they try to give him the starting gig. Like, he hasn't played a game of pro hockey, and they think, okay, he could be our starter this year. Like, kid's talented, no question about it, but it's about management, asset management. And I'm not going to say they've ruined this kid, but they sure set him back several years by trying to make him a everyday NHLer right out of the chute. But it's symbolic of just how poorly that whole organization's been managed for, 13 years now. They've been swimming in the abyss. And it all came to a head today. The owner, Terry Pagula, flew into Montreal to meet with the players, meet with the team. The players had a player-only meeting, then they had a team meeting. Like, how the general manager there has survived this is beyond me. When Lindy, I'm not going to say fire Lindy Ruff. He's only 8 months ago they hired him, and you know, we know he can coach in the National Hockey League. But a lot of people around the league, when that hiring was made, said that is just absolutely the wrong hire for a team in the position that the Buffalo Sabres are in right now. They're the youngest team in the National Hockey League, and Lindy Ruff is not exactly known for being a guy to work with young players. So it was a questionable move at best. It's one of many questionable moves Kevin Adams has made. I'll be shocked if this guy survives this latest tailspin from this organization. 10 losses in a row. It's time to make the change.
Some guys just don't. Go ahead, Shank.
So almost as crazy as hiring Bill Belichick to coach college football. Like Lindy Ruff going to coach his young guys.
We'll see about that. We talked about that just briefly the other day. Like, that's fascinating. I can't wait to watch what Belichick does or doesn't do and all that. This is different. There were so many other great candidates that Adams had to choose from in Buffalo. And to go back to the well to Lindy Ruff, who's, again, not exactly custom made for the job. I think it was an attempt to get some cheap public relations, curry some favor there. And I'm not even sure that works. So here we are.
They should bring back Maxim Afinogenov.
I was going to say, oh, Maxim.
It's a good one. Good pull.
Maxim had some good wheels, actually, back in the day. It almost reminds you, going back to the well, though, Francis, right? Like going back to the well, like the Flames tried to go back to the well with Darryl Sutter.
Yeah, and with varied results. It's funny, as I'm writing about Sam Bennett today and the possibility that could be a match in free agency this year or maybe via trade. Who knows? But if the Panthers can't sign him, they got a hell of a decision to make before the trade deadline this year. But it also made me make it think of Olli Jokinen coming back to Calgary for a second tour of duty. That was not popular. Our people at the time were like, are you kidding me? That didn't work the first time. Why would it work the second time? So, yeah, they say you can't go home. And, maybe we'll find out with Bennett. We certainly found out with Lindy Ruff.
Olli Jokinen.
Are you getting like what are they going to do in Nashville?
I think everyone's just waiting for the coach to be fired and Barry Trotz to jump behind the bench, right? I mean, it just seems too logical. If you're not sure who you're going to go to, or if you don't feel like the perfect candidate is right there, then take the reins yourself. But, once you become a GM, who wants to go back into the trenches again and be a head coach? I wouldn't want to. I mean, you're getting the big money now. You don't have to. Why would you? I mean, not that the charters are a bad deal, but no one can believe that Burnett's still the head coach. Trotz knows that he's a good coach. We all know that he's a good coach. He's done some pretty good things in this league. And so I just think he's just saying, look, this isn't on the coach, this is on the players. But at some point, it has to be on the coach. So again, that seems like another inevitability there.
Who's a player there? Like Stamkos, that didn't work out. Obviously, Marchessault was this year. Like, are those guys locked there? Like, they could probably move a Luke Shen. Like, I heard him maybe going back to Toronto. Speaking of, you can't go home again. Yeah. Like, who's available to maybe unload some pieces for the Preds if we're just gonna say this year's a write-off. It's a write-off, Jerry, and then we look ahead to next year.
Well, you look at some of these guys. Like, one of the leaders of that team, that organization, one of the classiest guys in the whole league is Ryan O'Reilly. And to me, he's the kind of guy you lean on in a case like this where you really need some leadership and some veteran savvy and some character in that room. That's a big contract you can get rid of, but I just don't see that happening at all. Listen, I think the big debate is not so much whether you're just going to fire the coach or not. I think the big debate is, are we going to go in a completely different direction? Because a lot of people they were surprised by the fact that they loaded up this summer and in a lot of people's eyes became an instant contender again. People didn't think this was kind of the right time to do that, but Trotz did. And maybe he was wrong. So maybe it's time to retrace your steps and go back to rebuilding, retooling a little bit. Because I think you said it. Like, this is a lost season. Like, they're all but mathematically eliminated at this point. Now it's about just trying to see what you want to do for next year.
They would have to go on an absolute heater, which is possible. They did that last year when they all got, their behind slapped and they couldn't go to U2 at the Sphere.
Oh, yeah.
But they have dug themselves a massive hole. It'd be interesting. Sorry, Bids. I just wanted to go off on Nashville.
No worries. Yeah, anytime you can bring up the Sphere and U2, I'm okay with a little misdirection there. Okay. Eric, we always ask you about how the Calgary Flames are doing. Of course, you will follow the Flames all the time. You're part of the broadcast crew that follows them around. Of course, Bruins, Flames tomorrow. Bruins in Calgary. Sens in Calgary on Thursday. And then Blackhawks, Connor Bedard and Blackhawks in on Saturday. Your thoughts on the 3-game homestand for the Flames this week?
Well, you know what's amazing, guys? Like this, have you seen the numbers that Dustin Wolf has put up at home? And I usually don't really like to separate anybody's stats from home and away, although sometimes there's an incredible disparity. But Dustin Wolf at home this year is the best goalie in the National Hockey League, and no one is even close. He's 8-1 with a 1.65 goals against average and a 949 save percentage. This is a rookie in the National Hockey League. Now, away from the Dome, he's 1-4. I think he's 1-4-1, and the numbers aren't as great. But that is an incredible elixir that they've come up with, where when you play him at home, you're almost guaranteed to win so far. They have one of the best records at home in the National Hockey League, and he's a huge part of it, like a rookie. And they've got 3 more games between now and Christmas. And I wouldn't be surprised if they played him in all 3. Like Dan Vladar was listed as day-to-day the other day. I think he'll be back. He'll be ready for action, I think, as early as Tuesday. But why not give Wolf the ball to run with these last 3 games before Christmas? So you get on a bit of a heater, give him even more confidence than he's already got, and play behind the hottest goalie in the league when he plays at home. Like it is an amazing set of statistics. Like if you did Google it and you looked up home records of goalies around the league, Ottinger's 11-2 at home. You got a couple other guys that are like 10-2. But their goals against average are nowhere near in the 1s. They're in the high 2s. So it's pretty impressive what he's done at home.
It's been a while since I've been in Cowtown with you, Eric. So I'm not on the don't have my finger on the pulse of what's going on there and what everybody's talking about. What are the kids saying? What's number one on the charts? But maybe talk about Connor Bedard coming to and the Hawks coming to Calgary at the end of the week. Is he still a massive draw? Are people all excited? Everybody wants to get tickets. We just heard a little bit earlier before you popped on the show that Justin Dunk was saying in Toronto that he took his nephew to the game and it was a big draw. Connor Bedard's still a big draw as he gets set to come to Cowtown?
Yeah, you know what? Like, I'll use my son as a barometer. Huge Bedard fan over the summer. They've already been to town earlier this year, and my son went, and it was hugely disappointing. Bedard had no points, and it was a crappy game. My son doesn't want to go to the game on Saturday now. He's 14 years old. And that's how kids are, right? What have you done for me lately? And guys, I don't know if we've done enough talking about how subpar a season Connor Bedard's had this year. Like, I know they fired the coach partly because of it. They can't seem to find anybody who's building any chemistry with him. It's been quite a disappointing. I don't think he's taken the next step that a lot of people hoped or thought he would take in his sophomore season. So look, I'm not down on him, but I do certainly think he didn't deserve to be on Team Canada. It is an afternoon game, a 2:00 game, that draws a bit of a different crowd on a Saturday. It's more of a family-oriented crowd as opposed to the drunken louts that like to show up on Saturday night for the 8 p.m. game.
Oh, sounds like a challenge. Sounds like a challenge to all the Saski people that are living in Calgary.
Hey, if you're a Saski person, you're coming to the early game, you can still come, and there's still plenty of time before the game to get drunk. Don't worry. But yeah, 2:00 game, different crowd. But there's still a lot of excitement. Yes, for Bedard, but also because the Flames are like, that's got to be a win night. They got to win that game going into Christmas. So yeah, a lot of excitement for that game for sure.
While Bidsy was asking that go ahead.
Let me jump in. Sorry, you'd also asked me about Ottawa and Boston, and Boston's always a draw. All the original 6 teams are always a draw in Calgary and all over the league. Yep. But there's this kinship between Calgary and Brady Tkachuk. Do you guys remember when the Flames were in the playoffs? Yeah. And Brady Tkachuk was in the crowd, double fisting. Chugging, he lifted a kid that he didn't even know. He met him minutes earlier onto his shoulders, in front of his dad. In some provinces that could be quite sketchy. But it was a euphoric celebration for his brother. And, I asked him recently when I saw him, like, would you go and do something similar if the Panthers go on a big run? And he said, no, like, that was a Calgary thing. They were in the West, I'm in the East. Now I'm in the same division as my brother. It's a little bit different. And so you didn't see him. He was there. You saw him probably the final game when they won the cup. He had tears in his eyes. It was actually quite powerful. But you didn't see him, wearing Panthers colors or parading around like he did when he was in Calgary. But people in Calgary remember it, and they love him for it.
He was also in Calgary too, Eric, as you and I know too. He was a little younger. As he said, he was double fisting the beers there, the extra powerful beers that you and I know that they have at the Saddle Dome. And then he was getting ready to twirl right on down the street to Cowboys after, I think. So there were some extra elements there, I think, that had him extra happy in Calgary at the time.
Yeah. Well, and in that vein, like, Tkachuk was here, Matthew was here, had a really good long chat with him on Saturday. They stayed here Friday night, gave Ryan Lomberg his Stanley Cup ring and celebrated with him. I think some of the boys hit the town. I'm not going to speak out of school, but then they stayed Saturday night, which is rare for an NHL team to stay Saturday night, but they did. And let's just say Cowboys was busy that night. Yeah.
Why wouldn't a guy with a Stanley Cup ring go to Cowboys? I guess.
That's
what while you guys are chatting here, you know what I honestly just looked up the last 5 minutes that we've been chatting with us? What is the New Year's Eve game like in Calgary? Because Mrs. S and I are really we're grasping at straws to find something to do because we have like a window of 3 days where the kids have no hockey. And I was like, hey, the Flames play the Canucks. She would really give a rip. If there's wine, though, that's good. What would that game be like? Would that be worth going to?
You know, it's a pretty good one. Like it's, I think it starts, I could look it up. I think it starts at 6 o'clock. So you get, it's a little earlier. You get a nice jump on the night. And let me see here, 31st. Nope, 7 o'clock start.
7 o'clock. Yeah.
But, games against Vancouver are always pretty, like a really great atmosphere here anyway, because it's really Calgary's most natural rival over the years. I know people think it's Edmonton, but there's actually more history in the last 20 years with Vancouver and the Flames. So it's a raucous crowd. There's tons of Vancouver fans here. And New Year's Eve, everybody's in the mood to have a good time. So, yeah, I'd highly recommend. You know what? I got season tickets. Let me look and see if – I don't know if I have it here. You can have my tickets if I haven't sold them. But I'll get back to you off the air on that one. It's a good time.
Do you take interesting trades? Like a papasan chair? Yeah?
Yes. Get me one of those chairs. Those tickets are yours for sure.
Okay. Well, or maybe you and I just go, and if your wife drinks wine, they can just go on a wine tour while we're at the hockey game. There we go.
I love it.
Right? Espresso martini tour.
Oh, my favorite. There's a new one in my world now. I call it the Eggspresso martini. It's eggnog and espresso and all that fun stuff in a martini. Boy, boy.
That'd be good for the cholesterol for this Ukrainian over here. My doctor would be like, "What are you doing?" Okay. Well, no, I might have to ask you a few questions offline here on that, but it's a lot of fun as per usual. Do you want to vote on our bracket or no?
It's
Christmas
tainted. If I doubt my submission is still in the running.
No. We asked the SportsCage Nation if that should be in it, and they said they wouldn't even put it in the secondary bracket. So maybe next year.
Okay.
But Band-Aid.
Okay.
I know, that's what I said. Band-Aid against Dolly Parton Hard Candy Christmas.
Band-Aid.
Tough.
I'm going Band-Aid. Yeah.
Me too.
Okay. And then Jose Feliciano, international entry against Bing Crosby from the United States of America.
White Christmas. Yeah, I got to go White Christmas.
Okay.
Like it really might be the Christmas carol or Christmas song, Bing Crosby. But hey, different crowd, different audiences. I mean, your crowd doesn't even like Elvis, so it's hurtful, and I don't like it.
Elvis is still in it.
Elvis is still in it.
Well, mine was Blue Christmas.
No, you. What was you played it today? Eric wanted some song we've never heard of.
I said the one that resonates
Lane.
in my house is Candy Cane Lane from Sia.
That's
and I knew that wasn't getting on your list. That was just a bit of an outlier. But no, Blue Christmas from Elvis is my favorite. That's the one I added to the list.
Well, that's still in.
He's up against Mariah Carey tomorrow. Absolute wagon.
Ooh.
Yeah, tough one.
Text me offline to let me know how that goes. Wow.
Okay. Let's go. New Year's Eve Espresso Martini Tour downtown Calgary, brought to you by the Sports Cage. Eric Francis joining us. Hey, you're with Maz on Wednesday. Have a good Christmas. I won't talk to you.
Okay, happy holidays. Text me offline. We'll talk. Cheers, boys.
Hey, pal. Take care, buddy. Yeah, take care, brother.
Yeah. Always love it. It's brought to you by Southie Mainline Chrysler, the new king of trucks in Southie, Saskatchewan, 30 minutes north of Regina. Worth the drive every time. Guaranteed. Over 13,000 off select 2024 Ram 1500s and Jeep Grand Cherokees. On top of that, they are offering $10,000 cash back. What a deal at Southie Mainline Chrysler. Time for a quick break. It is the all-new Sports Cage. We are streaming on YouTube and at sportscage.com. And as always, on the home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 620 CKRM. Welcome back to the all-new Sports Cage on this Monday for Kellen Solar. We are the official, I guess, sports show of the Papasan chair. Show up that people watching the stream again. It's like, I cannot believe that Eric Francis did not have one of these. Somebody messaged
He was familiar with it. He was familiar with it, but I did not own one.
Somebody messaged in about you had to run to a chiropractor after. Yeah, it was something, that's for sure. Okay, let's go in to our clutch performers for Nick's service in Emerald Park. Your local Massey Ferguson, Challenger, Rogator, Gleaner, and Fent dealer. Call 781-1077. Mine, I'll go first, Bidsy, because I know you're getting yours ready there. Mine is Kean Knoll from the Regina Extreme Hockey Capitals. 2 goals, 3 assists, and an overtime win over the Saskatoon Quakers this weekend. Kean Knoll is my clutch performer for Nick's service in Emerald Park. Bidsy.
I'm going to go with Paige Crozon. Paige Crozon and the Canadian 3x3 women's national team. They secured the program's second gold medal at the FIBA 3x3 America Cup. They won the gold medal there. They did, as I said, their second. Paige Crozon, by the way, she led all players in points in that one from Humboldt, Saskatchewan, and she was the tournament MVP from Humboldt, Saskatchewan. So she is my clutch performer.
I believe we call that a layup as far as clutch performers go.
Oh,
You're the MVP of a tournament,
Yeah, there we go.
Slam dunk.
There we go. Good job. Those are our clutch performers for Nick's service in Emerald Park. Your local Massey Ferguson, Challenger, Rogator, Gleaner, and Fent dealer. Call 781-1077. I love when people text in happenings around the community and different things for us to plug, because that's what we're here for. We like to plug that stuff, the local stuff. So Jeff from Ituna, unfortunately, I'm not doing the show on Friday, or I would wear my Ituna Avalanche t-shirt that they dropped off for me this summer. Sharp looking tarp. They are opening up their new rink in Ituna. Can't believe that thing's already done. Friday, 8 p.m., the Senior Avalanche are home to Strasbourg. The Strasbourg Maroons, is what they're called. 8 p.m., brand new rink in Ituna. Get there, support it. The concession, or the canteen, as they call it, will have all your favorites. All your favorites in Ituna. That's the Petahe, maybe a little halopshi.
There'll be lots of all. Yeah, and there'll be just the sweetest, greatest ladies working that canteen, working that concession. But besides being sweet and great and all those things, they will be extremely hardworking. And they will demand that you kind of fall in line.
Don't get in their way. Do not get in line. I have 3 sisters, a mom, a wife, and a daughter. But like at Christmas time around up north, when we're there, you get out of the kitchen. Get out of the way. You're going to get run over, son. Yeah. So just get out. And then
come in later and help if you want to clean up, but don't get involved when it's in the production or the serving. Just get out of the way.
I'm dishes guy. I like doing dishes. And Mom only fires up her dishwasher once a year, and it's at Christmas. So we're always wondering if the pipes are going to break and something start leaking in the basement. Seriously, it's a true story. Never uses it. Once a year, Christmas time. And then she always goes, "Yeah, I don't use that. I don't run it anymore." I know, we know that. That's why we're using it. It uses less
water, actually. A lot of people don't understand that. But yeah, it uses far less water than it does doing them in the sink.
It does. So Ituna, Friday, 8 p.m., Strasbourg is in town to take on your Ituna Avalanche. I'll be disappointed, Jeff. I'll be disappointed if they don't play Metro at least twice in the stoppages. It's a Christmas game. Kind of the teddy bear toss. Carnduff and Raymore in the senior loop this weekend. Shout out to everybody in Carnduff and Raymore. They sent in the videos. They had the teddy bear toss. Great. What was the story? Have you been to a teddy bear toss in your career, Bidsy?
Been to a few of them, a couple here in Saskatoon, but I almost always went to them in Calgary because it kind of really started to steamroll and get big with the Calgary Hitmen. It was just, they seem to have the biggest crowds for that, and their videos always played across the national networks and all of that. So been to quite a few in Cowtown.
So in Raymore, I got to give a plug to This and That. It's a fine store in the town of Raymore. They donated 100 bears for the senior team on Saturday for the teddy bear toss. So if you're going through Raymore, stop into This and That. Nice to see. Like I said, good job down in Carnduff as well. speaking of senior hockey, if you got a senior hockey, maybe it's just the worker, maybe it's the ladies in Ituna at the concession, whatever her name is. Send it in 936-6262, and all you got to text in is Dangler. And then you are in to win a $100 gift card from the Canadian Brew House that we will award on Friday. So Dangler to 936-6262. Could be a player of the game, could be a ref, could be a coach, Zamboni driver, canteen worker, music player like young Luke who plays tunes at the midget, AAA midget Blazer Pat C's game last week. Bidsy, you should have heard the tunes that he was playing up there. Young guy, busted everything out. Had the crowd going. That's a tough job. Like we talked to the music man from the rodeo when they were in, Pasner. What was his first name again? Real unique name.
Garrison.
Good job, Colson. Panzer. What did I say?
Pasner.
Wicker chair, whatever. Papasan. Yeah, that's a tough gig. And then you go to a rodeo and you pay attention. And then probably now if you go to a Rider game and people always complain. I was like, oh, music. It's a tough gig because you got to keep the people entertained. And the rodeo, things are moving so fast. Got a new appreciation for the rodeo folk. All right, what is it? We're going to open it up now too. You got to vote for one of the songs, but you also got to let us know if you want to go play golf. Royal Regina, in Regina, obviously. We have 2 hours of sim golf, and they have the best sims in the region. Also, the most reasonably priced sims, only $25 an hour to go play sim golf. And these things, Bidsy, you want a golf course to play? Give me a golf course that you would like to play. Any golf course. Pebble Beach, you go onto the computer, you download it. It literally takes 4 minutes. You got Pebble Beach downloaded. Lots of guys are getting into Augusta because you're really never going to be able to play that golf course. So I know I've seen a lot of guys swinging them there, playing Augusta.
What about Canadian courses? Can you play Banff Springs? Can you play?
You can play Banff Springs, Shaughnessy, Banff Springs, wherever, Cook Municipal in PA. That might be a stretch. It's a great golf course, though.
But you just say they got just whatever.
Imperial Sand Green 9-banger. They got that.
Martin's Lake.
Martin's Lake. They used to have a wicked slow pitch tournament.
Oh, is
know
that?
Right?
No, I just remember when I was younger, we went. It was the first time I was exposed to sand greens or whatever, and then you had to take the you had the stick and you had the rug behind it, and you just went round and round and round in circles. Yeah.
Oh, where did I play sand greens? Oh, Dilk, Saskatchewan sand greens. Colson's telling us we got a break. We get into a whole sand green thing coming up. We'll have to do a sand green bracket this spring on the Sports Cage. It is the all-new Sports Cage streaming at sportscage.com. Okay, where do we stand on the bracket? Let's give people an update in case they want to get in and vote. Dolly Parton, Hard Candy Christmas, one of the greatest songs ever written and performed, against Band-Aid, which is a really good song. Tough for me. It's like I'm Keith Kachuk and I'm watching Brady play Matthew, or the Kelsey mom.
Hard Candy's sitting with about 60% of the vote right now. So a little tight, but they got a good lead. They can hold on to it.
And then Jose Feliciano, Feliz Navidad, where's he from? Spain? Jose Feliciano. Mexico? Portugal.
Puerto Rico.
Portugal, maybe. Lisbon.
Puerto Rican. I was wrong. Jose Feliciano against Bing Crosby, who hails from, can I take a stab in the dark? Bing Crosby?
Sure.
I'm going to go Chicago, Illinois.
Springs.
No, maybe Louisiana. I'm going to final guess Louisiana.
Final guess? Incorrect. Tacoma, Washington.
Are you sure that's the right Bing Crosby? You're not looking up some soccer player?
Like this is the right one.
Bing Crosby,
unless Wikipedia is lying to me. But, yeah.
Now that's a trivia question. Not really, but it's interesting. Where's Bing Crosby from? Guess where Bing Crosby's from? Tacoma, Washington?
There's they should have a home of. They should have a home of on this sign. You'd think, unless I don't know who else is from Tacoma. They have a Bing Crosby trailer park in Palm Springs that I stayed at once.
Same guy, or is it this the guy that from Palm Springs that owns it? His name's Bing.
No, not this other guy, Bing Crosby. That's like 48 years old and got a plumber butt or whatever. Now walking around the trailer park. No, this is named after the Bing Crosby, and it's in Palm.
So maybe from Tacoma, he wintered. That makes sense. Wintered in Palm Springs.
What? Yeah.
Colson, any other interesting facts on Bing?
On Bing? No, I was just
Tacoma?
looking up who else is from Tacoma.
It's a common known fact that Bing Crosby.
We haven't had one of those in a while.
Yeah, it was calling for it. Anything else you can tell us about? Any other little tidbits you're saying? Bing Crosby actually hails from
Tacoma, Washington. Anybody else from Tacoma famous?
There's a few athletes, some of whom I recognize, some of them I don't.
Carl Lewis.
I don't see a Carl.
No.
Lewis.
Carl Weathers.
Apollo Cree.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad. Too bad he passed on.
Lawyer Milloy.
Lawyer Milloy.
Yeah.
Lawyer Milloy.
New England Patriots.
Yeah.
From Tacoma. I have to give a shout out here. I forgot it when we were doing Clutch Performer for Nick Service in Emerald Park. A guy messaged me and said, how about Nolan Pankratz? He had the overtime winner in the 8-7 Extreme Hockey Capital win over the Saskatoon Quakers. So I gave a plug to his teammate, Kean Knoll, that had 2 and 3. So there you go, Nolan Pankratz as well.
That whole sidebar was started because of the bracket, which we didn't mention. So Jose is up on Bing Crosby right now, 70% of the vote.
70?
Yeah, so he's running away with it a bit. It's probably all of the Metro voters coming in and stomping on Bing for...
Or we have a massive following in Puerto Rico.
Apparently.
And streaming. Are streaming numbers in Puerto Rico, Curtis? Can you check on that at the break? Maybe at news time? Coming up, hour 3. I'm going to be really curious to get Darian Durant's take on Bill Belichick coaching at his alma mater, UNC Tar Heels.
Not Bing Crosby? I thought you were going to say that.
We can keep firing Bing trivia. It's a Bing Crosby Monday here on the Sports Cage, and other known facts about Tacoma, Washington. Bidsy, you got anything on Tacoma? You know the Rockets? Rockets moved from Tacoma. You guys probably don't know this. To Kelowna in the Western Hockey League. Used to be the Tacoma Rockets. Used to play out of the Tacoma Dome. Tyler Persosky, Saskatchewan boy, played there. I think Marty Flickle. He was a really good player from around the Swift Current area. He played in Tacoma for the Rockets. Jeff Calvert, I think, was their goalie. U of S Husky goalie. Look at all this Tacoma Rockets trivia I have up in my head. Mm-hmm. See, and they said I would never amount to anything. Those teachers at King George School.
Common enough fact that the Tacoma Rockets established in 1991. You know what I mean?
Bruce Hamilton.
And they relocated to Kelowna in the 95-96 season.
95-96. Right after the Technoflex glove craze, they moved on up to Ogopogo land there in Kelowna. Don't forget, Wing Wednesday coming up, unbeatable at the Canadian Brewhouse, 69-cent wings, mountains of flavors. They got the flavor of the month. Do the wing thing every Wednesday at the Canadian Brewhouse. Darian Durant's coming up in hour 3. Also, a father of one of the Sasky players that got the call to represent Canada at the World Junior Tournament. Really interested to find out how many ticket requests, all that jazz. What an emotional roller coaster. So proud, I am sure. Still more to come. It's the all-new Sports Cage streaming at sportscage.com. Hammer the subscribe and like button, please, on YouTube. We're trying to get to 1,000. Curtis says he's going to do a show with a full man bun and tarpless if we get to 1,000. And also the home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 620 CKRM. Last hour of the program, Barney Shynkaruk, Derek Bidwell, Colson Curtis getting you by here. We're going to have Darian Durant coming up in a couple of moments. And then later in this hour, one of the parents of one of the players that got invited and is now going to be representing Canada at the World Juniors coming up next week, starting in Ottawa and Montreal. Also giving away 2 hours of sim golf to the Royal Regina. 936-6262, Capital Ford Lincoln text line, Saskatchewan's #1 Ford retailer. You just got to let us know, say, I want to play some sim golf, and then take a vote on one of our songs in the Elite 8, the SportsCage Ultimate Christmas Song Bracket. Band-Aid versus Dolly Parton. Jose Feliciano against Bing Crosby. Still 25 minutes to vote if you want to go play some sim golf. Regina's most advanced sims and most reasonably priced sims. $25 an hour at the Royal Regina Golf. Food and drink specials there as well. Bidsy, you ever done the sim golf?
I have done the sim golf. I said I was going to get into it this year, but I just never did. My plan was at the start of winter was to be on a team, because now, like, when simulator golf kind of came out, everybody would just kind of do it, I think, just for on a little bit of a lark. Wow, let's go do something different. Let's swing the sticks like you normally don't do in Saskatchewan, obviously in the winter. But it's come so far now that I know a lot of guys that are in leagues, much like you would be in a bowling league or something like that, or even a rec hockey league, that every Tuesday or every Thursday or every Tuesday and Thursday they're playing at one of these simulators versus some other team, and they all got all these leagues going, and it's a pretty good idea, I think. It helps you get through the winter in Sask.
Well, it gets the guys out of the house, and then it keeps them guzzling all year. They play men's night in the summer, and it's like, well, honey, I gotta go play in my indoor league. They call it the indoor leagues, and then they go and they do that. Yeah, I like it once in a while. I can't get the putting down. I am the brutal putter. A sim golf putter. Can't do it.
I'm good on the golden tee with the roller. I always seem to nail it that way.
Yeah, it's not the same. I was good at Lee Trevino's fighting golf too on Nintendo. But this is a lot more difficult. And these ones at the Royal Regina, these new advanced sims they have, it's legit. Because I was like, took a swing and I was like, no, that one's going way left. And sure enough, it went way left. So the technology there is unmatched. And $25 an hour, it's a heck of a deal. Let's get talking. We talked to Justin Dunk earlier in the show. You can go down and listen to that podcast form later. We talked about Trevor Harris's new contract. We talked about little CFL. Let's do it again with our friend Darian Durant.
The all-new Sports Cage presents Double Talk with Darian Durant. Brought to you by Wolf Industries, your truck repair specialist in Grenfell. Servicing all sizes of trucks, SGI accredited. And Prairie Land Rentals. Whether it's for the farm or the backyard, Prairie Land Rentals can help with all sizes of jobs.
Darian Durant, there he is. If you're watching the stream, you see doubles. Okay, we're opening it up with the cheesy question. Darian, are you ready for Christmas?
That is cheesy, huh?
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I love what Christmas means, and the significance of it. But when it comes to having kids and lining up presents and everything to make sure that they're good, and it's a hassle, man. I mean, it's good to see the smiles on their faces and the joy that they experience, but it's a hassle for us parents, man. It really is.
My wife does all the heavy lifting in that, but every year with the big family and all that, it's like, did you get so and so a gift? And I'm like, oh. No.
Yeah, you're going to forget someone. It always happens.
Yeah. 7-Eleven, 24 hours, gift card time. Here I go. Or be cheesy lotto ticket guy. Yeah, I got you some lotto tickets. Kind of a lotto ticket.
The other thing you could do, I was just going to say, the other thing you could do, and this is something that a buddy of mine does as well too, gets a couple extra gift cards, right? And then if he forgets, he's always got them in his wallet. And then if he hasn't forgotten anybody, well, then you just use them, right? You just use them up.
Smart.
Yeah,
it's not a bad idea.
Trevor Harris, he's getting paid kind of here. Ryder Justin Dunk had the inside info on the contract. It was on 3 Down Nation. Kind of team friendly. What did you think about the contract, Darian?
Yeah, I think Trevor, definitely deserves to be up there with the, highest paid guys in the league. So to see him, only come in at about 400, I say only like that's just a little bit of money, but relatively speaking, for him to accept a deal for 400,000 really just says that he's trying to win. He's trying to allow the team to bring in as many guys as possible that can help him and help the organization win. And when you get up there in age, it's all about legacy. It's all about what you can do in the win column. Stats are out of the window at this point. You can see that he's trying to win and trying to help Jo and the staff put guys in place to make that happen.
And yeah, and when we were talking to Justin too, it's like, I know, you go on the messages here, if you scroll down far enough, and people are like, how is that team friendly? It's not team friendly. He's still getting paid too much money, blah. And it's like, it's still his job. It's still a business. And he's only got a few years, right? Like if all of a sudden accountants, you only could work till you were 43. Well, those accountants would want to make a lot of money in their 30s and then early 40s, right? Like it's still a profession, absolutely. Darian.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to, especially when you get up there in age, you have to try to squeeze as much money out of the situation as you can that makes sense. You also want to put yourself in a great situation football-wise, but when it comes to financially and being able to take care of your family, it still has to make sense. And I think that in football terms, this is a great deal for the Riders, and it's still a good deal for Trevor. He's getting a good bit of money up front. He's getting his housing taken care of, and he still has some incentives in there that he can hit as well. And, he's an accurate guy. He's, if he can stay healthy, he'll smash all of those incentives anyway. So I really think this is a team-friendly deal for Trevor and the Riders.
When you were doing your deals, Darian, sorry, Bids, he got 160 signing bonus and then 200 base. Then you got 20,000 in marketing, 14,700 in housing, and 5,000 in travel. Did you have some of those, like the marketing, housing, and travel when you were doing your deals as well?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you want to make sure you're set up housing-wise, that you're comfortable. I mean, that's very important. He may have his family in town. I don't know his situation, but whenever you have a wife and kids and, a situation that he's in, you want to be living comfortably. You don't want to have to worry about that. And there's also some tax implications that come with housing and signing bonuses and things for, us American athletes. We get, breaks here and there when it comes to some of those payments. So I'm sure he structured it in a way that he can try to see as much money as possible from the tax side of things, as well as, just making sure he's good and he's comfortable during the season.
Didn't you live on Ellard Way when you lived in Virginia? You lived beside my buddy. I don't know what that rent was. That was a nice pad, though. I don't know what you were paying there. It was a good one. Yeah. Bidsy, go ahead. Sorry, bud.
No worries. And we can throw out Darian's address now because he's not there anymore. Otherwise, it might be a little bit of a bad idea back in the day. You'd have a lot of people probably coming by your place. A lot of baking around after a really good game. You get probably a lot of baking on your front step.
That's on the good side. But after a bad loss, you got to be ready for that as well. So.
Yeah, we know what would happen there in
raw
in
eggs.
Instead of in the baking. Shink talked about all the different elements to a contract now, but maybe just your thoughts on, and we brought this up a little bit earlier, on betting on yourself. A lot of people say, I bet on myself. I said, pay me less, but give me more incentives so I have a chance to make more. But just your thoughts on that, Darren. Obviously, that's a risk as well, too, because there's just the element of an injury that could come up, which you have no control over. Incentives are great because you can bet on yourselves, but that injury thing.
Yeah, you always have to take that into consideration. I mean, we know that this game of football, it doesn't play favorites, right? You never know when it's your turn. Trevor's been banged up the past couple years, and you have to, and even for the team, even though he deserves to be in the $500,000 to $600,000 range, they're saying, look, we're willing to pay you that, but you have to be healthy in order to get it, which makes sense. And so, when you're Trevor and you're in this situation, you could bet on yourself and hit the market and see if you can get extra money or, play hardball. But at the end of the day, you want to be in a situation where you can win. You don't want any animosity between yourself and the GM because you guys are bickering over a few dollars here and there. So you just want to make sure you sign a deal that's good for yourself, but also team friendly. And I think he did that.
Okay, I want to go. We're into like February-ish, before February, where there's no tampering or negotiation and all that. Like, would there be, what I'm trying to get at here, would there be players texting each other and saying, hey, are you gonna re-up over there in Toronto, and what do you think? Should we go for a beer, or do you want to all this? Like, would there be some of that going on?
Of course. I mean,
nice.
Look,
I like it.
This is just how it is. I mean, you can't control who guys build relationships with. Some guys come into the league as friends before they even, get to a CFL team. So there's always guys from other teams, and you talk about it even during the season, especially if you're having a bad season. You say, if you're ever a free agent over there, you could come over here and help me. And, these are things you talk about with your peers all the time. And, I don't see anything wrong with it. I mean, I just think that if you know someone and you have a good relationship with them, then, you guys think and you dream about being on the same team one day and hoisting a Grey Cup one day. So it's just a part of the game. It happens in all sports and on all levels. So it's just not the CFL. There are tons of friends on different teams in all major sports.
Darian, you obviously spent a lot of time in the Canadian Football League. You know a lot of people that spend a lot of time in the National Football League as well. Is there a contract clause that sticks out to you that was just way out there, but that person felt that they wanted it or needed it? Does anything come to mind, like pet care or something, I don't know, that's out there? A car auto detailing, Lamborghini detailing. Maybe that would have been more for the NFL, but is there something that comes to mind from somebody had in their contract?
I think, when you play in provinces like Alberta and Saskatchewan, where football is huge, there may be some off the field things that could go into contracts that, during the off season, you may have a deal with a certain dealership or business. You may do some appearances for them and be compensated for them in that kind of way. So there are all types of things you can add in. Look, any type of language you can put into a deal that makes sense. I'm sure everything can be put on the table. The craziest thing I've seen, and it's not in the CFL, it's just in the NFL, was the Kyler Murray deal, where he had to put in a certain amount of hours of film study in order for him to get paid or get his signing bonus going into the next year, which is crazy because you would think that that's something that he would be willing to do on his own. So when it comes to contracts, that was kind of crazy to me, that you have to basically beg a guy or pay a guy to watch film and just do his job, basically. That was crazy to me.
One thing I've appreciated about you in the, 9-10 months that we've done this, is you will be honest and you will shoot from the hip. Now, what is your take on 72-year-old Bill Belichick being the head coach of your alma mater at UNC?
You know what? I love it. I think that we need a change. We've always been looked at as a basketball school, as a pretty dominant basketball program. And, if you look at the late 90s and early 2000s, we put out a ton of guys into the NFL, and we were, sort of a pipeline to the NFL. So I think that with Belichick coming in, we can get back to that. And when you bring in NFL caliber guys or guys who have the potential to go to the NFL, that's definitely going to lead to more wins. So, you need a guy of prestige. You see what Deion Sanders and his name has done for the University of Colorado. And I think you'll see more of this as time goes. You'll see more big name guys go into coaching and go to their alma mater or go to certain universities and try to bring in these athletes, because look, everyone has a dream of going to the NFL, right? If you're a competitive guy and you play football, you want to play at the highest level, and you're going to want to go to teams and programs where they have coaches or pipelines, so to speak, of a history of putting guys in the league and being able to coach like NFL coaches. So I think that this will be great for North Carolina. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about the spring game, so I can go and just feel the environment and just, see what it's like to be around, one of the great, not one of the greatest coach in NFL history. So I'm just so happy for my alma mater, and I'm looking forward to it.
But you got it. Okay, so the thing that I'm so curious about, Darian, and I'm sure you still talk to a lot of guys there and your old teammates and maybe even guys that still work there, is he going to be able to connect with these young players? Yeah. So I don't think he will necessarily be out recruiting. I don't think you're going to see Bill show up to someone's living room, sit on their papasan chair or whatever it's called, and try and lure in their kid to come and coach. I think he's going to have people to do that. But now, different than when you played and all these guys played, the transfer portal. If a kid doesn't like, he's like, see you later, I'm going in the transfer portal, which I'm very curious in the next few years, if Bill doesn't connect, how many kids want to Michael Bolton out of there?
Yeah, and you know what? I kind of disagree with you. I think that this will bring out a different side of Bill Belichick, knowing that you have to now deal with 17, 18, 19-year-old kids, and with that comes building trust in their household with their parents. So I think that you'll see more than we think of Bill Belichick. I think you'll see him going into homes, especially of these top athletes, guys who maybe 2 and 3 are done. I think he'll go. I think he'll enjoy being on the road and recruiting. There'll only be a select group of guys he'll go after, and he'll go himself. But I think if the guy is worthy, he's a 5-star athlete, he's a program changer, I think Bill Belichick could go in his home and sit with his parents and sit with these kids and just try to get it done.
All right.
I got to ask you, Doubles. Okay, the landscape there, obviously, and they're already. I've heard they're calling it Chapel Bill already in North Carolina is one of the ones they're throwing out there. But the landscape there. You know how much boosters get involved in college football and these different things, and that Bill doesn't like to answer to too many people. They're going to have a GM there that's going to handle the transfer portal. They're going to handle the the GM, or somebody's going to be handling these athletes that want this NIL money and these different things. But do you think that Bill is going to be able to get accustomed to having more cooks in the kitchen, if you will, maybe in the college game than just Rob Kraft, in the NFL game?
You know what? I think that North Carolina and the administration, I think they're going to give him complete control. I think they're going to let him do his thing. We're desperate at this point for a change in just everything from bottom to the top. So I think that this will be one of those situations like you see in Colorado with Deion Sanders of just complete control. The boosters will come in, they'll let you know what they're willing to pay and how much of a budget you have to pay these athletes. But I think Bill will have 100% control of everything. Look, you don't want to make him mad. You don't want him frustrated. This is a once-in-a-generation type of coach that you have at your fingertips right now. And the last thing you want to do is piss him off. So I think they'll give him full control.
I was just going to say the other one, too, that I think you may be right on there as well, too, and they're throwing out Chapel Bill and all this, that is going to be kind of his deal. You guys obviously are used to working with legendary coaches there, obviously in the basketball program with Dean Smith. So, I mean, you guys are used to at that school handing things over, if you will, if they are strong enough that you'll kind of let them run with it. And hey, you know what? You're already paying Bill $10 million a year for 5 years, $50 million. So, I mean, he should have free reign, you would think, right?
Absolutely. And I think in his negotiation, he said and made it very clear that, he doesn't want anyone breathing down his neck. He wants to have full control. He wants control of personnel, staff, administration, everything that has their hands on with the team. I'm sure he's going to want full control, and he's going to want people that he believes in, that he knows gives him the best chance to turn that program around. So he'll have free reign to do whatever he wants. And, I think it'll be good for us in Chapel Hill now, and I'm looking forward to it.
We're gonna have to keep watching this. We're gonna talk about this as we go along here in the off season. This is awesome stuff. Okay, couple of quick ones from the NFL. Detroit Lions with all the injury trouble and what happened yesterday against the Buffalo Bills. Should Lion fans be worried?
I don't think so. I mean, it was the Buffalo Bills that they played, and they made a hell of a comeback in the second half and made it a one-score game. I think if Dan Campbell doesn't go and just out-gamble himself, he gives the team a chance to win. I mean, look, I'm all for gambling and making decisions that are a little off the wall, but sometimes you can get ahead of yourself and get a little too cocky, and I think that's what happened. But the Buffalo Bills, they'll be in Super Bowl contention this year, so I wouldn't look at this loss as a reason to be down on the Lions. I think they're a great football team. Their offense is still healthy. It was good to see Montgomery come back out in the second half. I thought he had a serious leg injury there, but he seems to be okay. So I think as long as that offense is together, you can bring in some guys on defense and fill in some pieces. But as long as that offense is healthy, they have a shot. And you have to go to Detroit and play. They'll have home field between them and the Eagles, and it'll be tough to win in Detroit.
What was your take on Devondre Campbell walking out mid-game with the Niners?
Yeah, I didn't like that. I understand his frustration with Dre Greenlaw coming back, and he's been. Whenever you're a guy and you start the season and, they bring in a guy's injured and he comes back off the injured list and he all of a sudden takes your job or takes his job back, it can be very frustrating. And I think that's what he was going through. But you just can't quit. I think you lose he's probably going to lose his job first and foremost, but you lose your friends in the locker room. Guys can't depend on you. And look, that division is tight. San Francisco is only a game and a half, I think, out of first place. And, they can beat anyone in the league. So this is such a crucial time to have a guy just walk off the field and basically give up. And you lose the trust of your teammates when you do things like that.
Okay, and last one, about 45 seconds here. Your take on the college football bracket, what we're going to see here starting this weekend.
You know what? I like it. I think that I like the 12-team format. I still believe that if Alabama were to play, any of these teams,
ASU,
they have a chance to win, or SMU, or
Penn State.
I Clemson as well. I think Alabama will walk all over Clemson. So, but you have to go. You have to play the season. You have to win games, and you can't lose to teams like Vanderbilt. I think that when you're vying for a playoff position and you take a tough loss like that, then you deserve to be out. So I like the format. I think it'll be good and entertaining, but I still think that the best team, one of the better teams in Alabama didn't make it, and they should be in.
Heck, the way it's going next year, UNC could be there with a bye. Mm-hmm. Right, with Bill.
Hey, that sounds great. I wouldn't be here. I would be at the game somewhere. So
we'll exactly. All right, Doubles. No show next week, so then we're gonna probably catch up in the new year. Have a great Christmas, safe Christmas, you and your family there. Thanks for everything you've done so far this year.
Oh man, thank you, and happy holidays to you guys and Rider Nation as well.
All right,
Merry Christmas, buddy.
Thank you.
Double talk with Darian Durant. Always good. Little Christmas down there will be a little bit warmer than up here, Bidsy. Speaking of, all that. This football playoff, college football playoff, I am so intrigued how that. I know a lot of people out there I don't follow college football. I don't want. A lot of people do, and it is intriguing. Like it is like what? How, Boise
I hope some
is
of those
going.
matchups that you talked about are closer than you and I think. I hope they are, but that will just give more fuel to the fire for a lot of people that don't like this format.
first round matchups like Ohio State, Tennessee, I think it's a 6 versus 7. That's going to be a close game. Then the winner's got to play Oregon. Like, that's crazy. And then Texas should walk on Clemson. Notre Dame, Indiana, Canadian Curtis Rourke could go. Notre Dame probably.
Yeah, I don't know.
Penn State, SMU. Like, that's another. And then the winner there gets Boise State. Like, it is going to be an unreal watch over the next few weeks.
I think it gets Georgia. Well, most people believe anyway, but you never know what happens. Obviously, it's not a best of anything like hockey or baseball. It's one game. You turn the ball over a bunch of times. You look past your opponent and your season's over. But a lot of people are thinking that Georgia then has an easy path to get right to at least the national semifinal.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be talking World Junior Hockey Championships with one of the fathers of the players that got the call to represent Canada. It is the all-new SportsCage, streaming at sportscage.com and on the home of hockey in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. Bidsy Shink and the Seas on Monday for Kellen Solar in Lumsden. Anything solar you need. And if you got the livestock operation, you need to get water from that dugout to over yonder, and you don't want to do the electricity thing, Kellen Solar. There you go, guys. Okay, a couple of housekeeping items here. Colson, we're going to do the bracket. We got about 5 minutes left to vote on the bracket. The next break, we'll let you know who wins. Jose Feliciano running away with it against Bing Crosby. And Dolly Parton Band-Aid. Where does that one stand? How's Dolly doing against Band-Aid?
She's holding on to her lead.
Yes. Hard Candy Christmas. Crank that. You know how many people are going to be playing that now this holiday season? It's kind of one of those songs that you forget and you bring it back and you're like, yeah, that's a toe tapper. Bidsy, do you got an update on the curling in Swift Current?
Yeah, so we have the Battle of Alberta, as we spoke about at the big event in Swift Current. Shinka, Brad Jacobs from Edmonton versus Kevin Cooey from Calgary. Yeah. And currently in the fifth end, Brad Jacobs with a 3-2 lead over Kevin Cooey and his rink in the fifth end.
There it is, your curling update for Wong's and Swift Current. The Bolo Gai Q could be the best Chinese dish in the province, hands down. And that's a true story. Okay, let's go out on the Western Pizza guest hotline. Speaking of good food, Western Pizza, $25 gift exchange present, or you want catering, or just a pie tonight because you don't want to cook, or their lasagna. Call your local Western Pizza. They'll get you hooked up. Dave Price is joining us from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, longtime friend, and he is the father of Caden Price, who got the call on Friday that he will be a member of the World Junior team for Canada this year. Dave, here's the question that I got to ask you off the hop, a little bit cheesy, but I got to ask you, has it sunk in yet?
It's still sinking in. It's taking some time. It's very, I've been telling it over and over again. I've been saying my line is, it's very surreal. It seems like it hasn't sunk in yet, but yeah, it's super cool. Super cool.
This is obviously one of the toughest hockey teams to make in the country every year. And Caden went in, stellar defenseman for the Kelowna Rockets. He went in, and you and I were talking, and you were like, well, I don't know. He wasn't a slam dunk, and as we found out, nobody was a slam dunk to make this team this year. How much did you watch? What did Caden do well to make this team?
Well, I was at the summer showcase and back in August, and there's so many good players there, and it's just tough to pick one or two things. And I know the air for margin is really slim out there, but he's always been good at being able to get away from trouble in his own end, and he's able to make a great first pass out. He is offensive. His skating is very good. But yeah, no, I think those are a few of the things that maybe might go to him for them. Sorry. But.
Okay, so now as you find out on Friday, Now, how fast do things start snowballing? Like, obviously, you got a family, you got other kids in your family. Addie plays for the Saskatoon Contracts. You got a daughter, wife. All that. How many people are now? Okay, how many tickets do we need? How does everything start snowballing?
Well, I'll tell you this. First of all, we tried to stay off social media all Friday morning. we went Christmas shopping, went out for lunch, and then it just. And then Caden finally in the afternoon texted us and said, "Hey, I guess we're going to be spending Christmas in Ottawa," and we're just like happy tears, and it was good times. And then literally like 10 minutes later, the list starts coming out. Hockey Canada did send an email earlier when he made the camp saying that just if he makes it, this is what's going to happen, and this is what we'll cover, and all this kind of thing too. So it was really kind of neat, and still even that too is very surreal. It's like, do you send this to the wrong email address or what? Like, I mean, it's kind of it's crazy. So it did snowball, and then after Caden Texas, literally like it was, I think like maybe 10-15 minutes. And all of a sudden, my phone just started blowing up. I got text after text after text, and it was like I had like over 100 texts, and I was trying to answer it back, and it was getting super overwhelming. And it was awesome. I mean, the outpouring of support and love from the hockey community was unreal and super appreciated, and we still like are over the moon happy. And yeah, but yeah, it's yeah. There's I don't know. I still am waiting for more emails from Hockey Canada. So.
Were Christmas plans set, or were they always kind of paused, knowing that this may happen? And I'm sure it's an easy adjustment to make. It's a welcomed adjustment to make for sure. But were Christmas plans set? And maybe just the second part of that, how excited are you that now Christmas will be in Ottawa for the World Juniors?
Yeah, every year we just have Christmas at our place. A lot of times we host it, and it was going to happen again. And now it's fast forwarded a week early. So, but yeah, we were hoping that he would make it, and but again, you just don't know. You don't know what Hockey Canada wants, and you see people left off lists and people that made it versus people that didn't make it, and it's a whirlwind. And it's pretty cool. Like and so now going to Ottawa for Christmas, I mean, it hasn't really sunk in. I don't know if it'll sink in until we get there. But yeah, it's yeah.
Do you have to like now, are you only allotted so many tickets, or like how does that work? You got to buy some for the family, and now we want to come, or we might go. You never know. You might get a text from Barney saying I want to go. Like what's the ticket allotment situation?
Come on down. I'll get you the back door. Just like no, so yeah, just like the pad. Yeah. No, so they allot two tickets per family, Hockey Canada's, for all the Canada games, and then you're able to buy a few more, obviously, because we have two more kids, so we're going to get at least two more. But I don't know if there's a pool or how it's going to work for extra tickets yet. I don't know, but of course we've had friends and family kind of hitting us up saying, hey, if you have any extra tickets, be out there. And
yeah, no doubt.
But yeah, it's so we were still trying to find all that out, and we haven't really had an email back yet. So
this is a pretty special, and I didn't reach out to. I was going to reach out to Kelly Bowes, but I think as a Saskatoon guy that's followed this tournament, I think this is the first time ever that we're going to see three kids that played with Saskatoon minor hockey on this team. And maybe just talk about Caden's there, but as well you got Jaeger who's back, and then Berkeley Catton makes it.
Yeah, and Tanner Howe from PA.
Yeah.
So, no, it is super special. I know, obviously watching them all since they were kids, since they're 5-6 years old, growing up, the group is always good and talented, but you didn't know how to compare it. When they're young, they're like, oh yeah, I know they're pretty good, but like, who's the best, and usually like Jaeger was one of the best kids out there when he was a young kid too, all the way up. And same with Berkeley too. Like Caden actually played with Berkeley when Berkeley came up as an underager in U13 AA, and his first game, everyone's like, well, is this kid really that good? Well, he first game, puck dropped, goes over to him on the wing. He goes, grabs the puck, skates around the D-man and shelves it like in seconds. And it just like, oh, I guess he's that good. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, and that's just him. And Yager has always been a really good player too. Tanner Howe against PA was always a standout there too. But yeah, for Saskatoon to have 3 kids, and there is a couple more that could have, and should have made it too as well, right? So it just goes to show the depth of the 05, 06 like era of hockey players. It was off the charts. There's quite a few.
I was going to add in there, or just ask in there as well too. Like obviously these guys, whether it's football, this case hockey, when they play at a high level, it seems like they all know each other. Whether they were at some camp together or they're all familiar with each other. So I would assume that the parents are all familiar with each other too. You guys are all know each other quite well, and now you're going to be going down there to root on your kids, all with your Team Canada jerseys on.
Yeah, totally. You end up seeing these kids and their parents and getting to know people over like spring hockey and then in winter hockey against each other. I'm sorry. And then, just getting to know them, and you get these bonds with these people over the last like 10, 15 years. And it's crazy. Like it really is. And they're all great families. They're all really nice people and good kids too. Right. So
that's a really good point, Bidsy, right? Because it seems like, 1 year we're crushing Pilsners in a hotel room in Winnipeg and eating continental breakfast. And then boom, now we're watching our kids play at the World Juniors. Like that's what it's going to be like for you guys, Dave.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it's the same spring team and stuff. And like you say, just in the breakfast room, crushing beers and getting to know these folks and having good times. And
was the spring team a wagon? Did you guys win a lot?
We did have a couple of good spring teams. Heighton Yags did play up a couple years though, and as kids do. But 1 year we did go to Minnesota with them, and it was pretty good. Like we had a really good team. And then we did go to Montreal the year later with another spring team that was really good. Heighton Yags weren't there, but we had Ben Reich, we had Sam Aremba, we had Brady Burney, we had Noah Chadwick, we had a bunch of kids that are playing in the dub today and doing well. It was cool. It's a super crazy age group of talent, but you don't know it when you're going through it. You just don't know it,
Yeah. Well, this is amazing. I'm so happy for you guys, all the families, the Catton family, the Howe family. The Yagers were there last year. This is awesome, and look forward to. I know, knowing you, I know you're going to get on TV at some point. So we'll be watching. Thanks so much, Dave, and congratulations.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
On.
Yes,
Dave Price.
Congrats and enjoy Christmas in the nation's capital.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Jeez Louise. Getting that call. Dave Price, father of Caden Price from Saskatoon, plays for the Kelowna Rockets, who is representing Canada at the World Junior Hockey Tournament. Yeah, there's like 3 kids from Saskatoon, Bidsy. Never seen it.
Yeah. And like I said, it's so cool. You just think back, like they would have all these memories of, running into each other at the rinks, whether it's at, from Archibald to wherever, to all these tournaments around Saskatchewan, in the Queen City and all the smaller towns when they were younger and running into each other and staying at the same hotel and facing one another in the final. And, the goal that went in and the post and the mini sticks in the hallways and just on and on and on. And then you find yourselves all there together with your kids, with your World Junior Team Canada jerseys on in Ottawa.
Hoping they get it, because last year a little bit disappointing, right? So there's pressure there as well. Bring home the gold medal. P. Dan Holtgood, Sasky boy, and Al Murray from Regina heading up kind of the management and the scouting team. So let's take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with the winner of the bracket for today, and we'll also pick who wins the Sim Golf. Everyone that's entered there. It's the all-new SportsCage streaming at sportscage.com. Okay, we got housekeeping, and Curtis has breaking news as well. So first off, what are we going to go, Sim Golf, or let's go bracket challenge? SportsCage Ultimate Christmas Song Bracket, Elite 8 today. It was Bing Crosby against Jose Feliciano. Who won that one?
Jose. 66% of the vote.
66.
So, good
Jose.
portion. Not quite a landslide, but a comfortable win.
Jose Feliciano is moving on to take on the winner of Elvis, Blue Christmas, and Mariah Carey, probably the top seed.
Yeah.
All I Want for Christmas. Okay, the other one, this one was hard for me. Both my babies, like watching the Kachucks play if you're Keith. Band-Aid against Dolly Parton, Hard Candy Christmas.
Hard Candy's moving on.
Yes.
You'll be happy. 65%, basically the same. So comfortable win. And they'll face off against either Mary's Boy Child or Let It Be Christmas.
That's tough bracket. That West Conference was tough.
Yeah.
Tough sledding.
I tried to balance it out,
Over
but
there.
you know, that's just, there's so many good Christmas songs.
Thanks to everyone who voted and then wanted the Sim Golf, 2 hours free golf at the Sims at the Royal Regina, the cheapest, most cost-effective Sims in the city, $25 an hour, and the best technology. We'll have maybe one more chance to win this week. Some more Sim Golf prizes. Okay, Curtis, breaking news in regards to the $5 Canadian bill.
Yeah, well, not like super breaking, a little late. It apparently happened like 2 hours ago. But Canadian icon Terry Fox is going to be featured on the $5 bill.
It's about time, Bidsy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. 1,000%. I mean, it's one of the greatest stories in Canadian history. I mean, what he was able to do, even for that short amount of time, it's almost unfathomable to think how far he ran with what he was going through with one leg. And the prosthetics back then were just so archaic too. Like, I mean, that would have been so difficult. It's just incredible what he was able to do. And real hero. And look what his legacy has left. It's hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars because of what his initiative has raised for cancer.
They show some of the hills that he had to run up on that, like you said, archaic prosthetic in the rain. And then they went to some towns and like it wasn't support. I watched the ESPN 30 for 30 on it this summer, and it's so sad, inspiring, but it's sad. And like, I'm so glad we kind of figured out at least that piece of something in our country. That was
something that we can all agree on, right? It's something that we can all agree on that, like, wow, that was hugely inspirational. And when you complain about things a little bit, you just, like you said, you watch that documentary and you go, you know what? I'm good. I think I'm good. I'm going to quit complaining.
Life is not that bad. All right, good show, Bids. Harvard, the auction. I think there's like an hour left. If you haven't went on there and bid on anything, harvardauctions.com. There are some great deals to be had. The one I was looking at, gym membership. You like gym membership for under half of a regular, and then come New Year here, everyone wants to hit the gym. I gotta get in better shape.
New Year's resolution.
I gotta get in better shape. And then two Monday night games tonight. Everybody, if you're just sprinkling out there, good luck. I need the Vikings to win by more than 7.
All right, I can do that. I can put out the good vibes for you, buddy.
Thanks. There you go. Colson usually does too. Curtis, well, whatever. It's we're back tomorrow. I'm back tomorrow. I think I'm by myself with these two guys, so I better be nice to them. It'll be fun, and we'll have a more bracket. We have a Rash. We got Glenn. We got Les Lazaruk, voice of the Saskatoon Blades. He'll know all those Saskatoon guys on the World Junior team, so that'll be interesting to chat. Everybody, thanks so much. We will talk to you in roughly 21 hours.